Hello, all of you vaingloriously wonderful people. Welcome back to my $1 billion GTA Online garage tour. Today, we join my first character in his nightclub garages to take a look at a dozen sports cars and sedans from Benefactor worth over $7 million. We'll take a look at the SUVs, supercars, and other Benefactor models next time. Let's get started with the sedans and sports cars. We begin the day with sports cars, and first up is the Schlagen GT. I have loved this car since it first released simply because of the way it looks. The angular, almost aggressive front end stands in contrast to the flowing lines that create a wide stance at the rear. Plus, I'm a sucker for that long hood, short rear deck design. Add in a respectable number of customization options, and you can create a truly stunning car. Sure, this thing is not going to compete with the top sports cars, but if you value style and a fun driving experience, then the Schlagen GT should be on your short list of cars to buy. Granted, it isn't cheap at $1.3 million bucks, though it is far from the most expensive car you can buy. Okay, so take everything I just said about the Schlagen GT and turn it up a notch or two for the Benefactor SM722. Add in the real-life inspiration from the car that paid tribute to the great British racing driver, Stirling Moss, and you have perfection. Well, I guess you would have perfection, except it costs 800 grand more to buy, has a lower top speed, is slower around the track, and has looks that can be somewhat polarizing. But whatever, I don't care, I absolutely love the way it looks, especially that open-air roadster design, and I love taking it for a drive. And unlike the next 4 vehicles we are going to look at today, you can still buy this one from its in-game website. When Rockstar removed a huge number of cars from in-game websites, they claimed they were lesser used cars and the removal would streamline the browsing experience. Well, I'm calling bullshit because I cannot imagine a world where the Feltzer could ever be described as lesser used. Seriously, who does not love the Feltzer? Whether you were playing in story mode or online, they are ubiquitous and one of the first cars nearly every player will carjack as they make a desperate attempt to escape a wanted level. You get in and the noise coming from it is immediately intoxicating. Then you start to notice all of the details like the front splitter, the crazy wide body kit, and even the rear diffuser, and you can't help but fall in love. And it does a lovely dance between being in full control and veering off into, oh my god, I'm gonna die territory. Everybody loves the Feltzer, and it is simply a shame that you cannot easily buy it in GTA Online.
Benefactor Gallivanter of West Vinewood is the premier destination for the discriminating client. We don't just sell automobiles, we sell the illusion of success. Owning a Benefactor Surano isn't about mere transportation. It is about transcendence over your coworkers, your neighbors, and your lingering self-doubt. Leather seats, Alcantara wrap steering wheel, performance that can get even your granddad hard. But who's counting? What matters is pulling up to the local bulk buy superstore and hearing someone whisper, he must be doing something right. Schedule a visit with a luxury acquisition concierge at our location at the corner of Las Lagunas Boulevard and Spanish Avenue. You'll be treated to an exclusive performance experience encounter, followed by a financial planning consultation as you enjoy the finest caviar and champagne we could obtain on a discount. The Benefactor Surano. Why blend in when you can slightly stand out in a car that vaguely resembles success? Because perception is reality. Sort of.
It's a coupe, even if it is placed in the sports class, and it has a V12 badge on the side, so you would think the Benefactor Schwartzer would be incredibly quick. While it does manage to get up to a decent top speed, its lack of grip holds it back on a racing circuit. But that lack of grip made this car incredibly popular in the drifting scene before actual drift cars were added to the game. It has just enough power to get the back wheels to break traction, but not so much power that it is impossible to control during a drift. Factor in the solid list of really good visual modifications available, and it becomes easy to see why the Schwartzer was popular for a time. While you cannot buy it in-game any longer, it does still spawn in traffic and is cheap enough that you are able to steal one and store it in your garage. Okay, what the hell, Rockstar? European four-door wagons, or estate cars as they're called across the pond, are cool. Every gearhead on the planet knows that. Lifting them and adding some ugly plastic fender cladding to make them appear ready for off-roading is decidedly uncool, however. So I cannot fathom why, when it came time to add a Benefactor wagon to the game, anyone at Rockstar chose this version of the Streiter instead of just having a really cool wagon. I suppose it is a good thing that it is no longer available for purchase. It was released almost 9 years ago, and since it cannot be bought, maybe we can forget about this huge disappointment altogether. Still, I would rather own this than the compact Benefactor that you might notice is intentionally not included in my collection. Before we move on to the next 6 vehicles from Benefactor, I want to remind you that this is only the 3rd video in what will become a pretty long billion-dollar GTA Online garage tour. If you want to learn a bit more about this series, then be sure to check out the first video in the playlist. I own over 570 vehicles in GTA Online, and that collection is worth nearly $1 billion. I am going to feature every last one of them, so if you are a fan of collecting vehicles in GTA Online, then be sure to get subscribed so you don't miss out. And if you enjoyed this video, please remember to hit the like button and drop a comment letting me know which car you love or which one you hate. Or maybe just leave an emoji that sums up how you feel about Benefactor as a car manufacturer in GTA Online. Now, let's get back to the cars. We move on from the sports class into sedans, beginning with the Vorschlaghammer. If you don't like this car, I think there may be something seriously wrong with you. The boffins at Benefactor took what was an otherwise boring mid-sized sedan and shoehorned in a stonking huge V8, creating a German muscle car that terrified coquettes and comets alike. There are even a massive number of visual modifications available as well. They didn't just make it pretty and go fast in a straight line, however. With a completely reworked suspension, introducing a lower stance and stiffer springs, the handling was improved as well. That isn't to say the massive V8 won't immediately turn tires into smoke if you're a bit too exuberant with the throttle, and that the car won't oversteer right into the nearest thicket of trees, but that's a you problem, not a Vorschlaghammer problem. If you have complete disregard for your own safety, you can even turn it into a drift car. The Glendale Custom once again demonstrates the dichotomy of Benefactor. We just saw an outright muscle car that actively seeks to kill you, and now we move on to a stately, luxurious sedan that cares more about wafting you along in undisturbed luxury. Well, that is true for the stock Glendale at least, which, fun fact, the limo version of it was a favorite of dictators, cartel bosses, and pop musicians. But this is not a stock Glendale. This is a Glendale Custom, and it is for the brutal thugs of the world who want to feel the bass in their music as they plot genocide, and then want to hit the hydraulic switches to bounce the car up and down on the graves of their enemies. Sheesh, that went dark quick. Yeah, the Glendale Custom. Still a car for psychopaths, even if it has massive subwoofers. Let's move on to something safer, like a nice, calm Schafter. Oh, no, wait. This is the Schafter V12 and there is nothing calm about it. Actually, I guess Rockstar thinks this thing is so powerful that they inexplicably dropped it into the sports class instead of sedans. Don't worry though, you can still race it with other sedans if you own one. In sports, it's nothing all that special. But when you do race it against other sedans, your competitors better show up in a top tier car, because this thing can hang with all of the S tier cars, even managing to turn in a lap time better than one of the top 4. Editor Brandon here, interrupting the usual format of my $1 billion garage tour because I have to talk about the car in the background. That is Sparing Donkey's Benefactor Schwartzer. Donkey, also known as Jack, did such an exceptional job with his car's design that I had to stop and mention it. From the wheel choice, the tasteful application of various cosmetic modifications, and even his own unique crew color that he used to paint the car, it all works together exquisitely. Job well done, Jack. Now, let's get back to the Schafter V12. I have been in love with this car ever since it was added to GTA Online nearly 10 years ago with executives and other criminals, and I doubt that love affair is going to stop anytime soon. Okay, so if the Schafter V12 is a sports car, then what is the armored variant of the same car? If you guessed it to be placed in the sports class as well, nope, this is a sedan. The difference, aside from the armor and a higher curb weight, is that this one has slightly lower top speed, slightly less engine power, and slightly worse brakes. But you would be hard-pressed to really tell the difference. The real difference was never meant to be performance, however. It was meant to offer luxury, speed, and protection. It can withstand a round from most explosives and artillery, which can hopefully give you enough time to return fire, then haul ass out of harm's way. And that brings us to the Schafter. Okay, hold on. Just how many of these are there? Looks like there are 5, maybe 6 depending on how you were counting. There's the Schafter V12, the Schafter V12 Armored, the Schafter Long Wheelbase, the Schafter Long Wheelbase Armored, and then there is this, the one that started it all, the original Schafter, placed properly in the sedans class where it ruled over all other sedans for years. And this particular example is as original as it gets. I had this car after that first race against Lamar in my early days on the Xbox 360, and I kept it close by through all of the first missions until I could finally put a tracker on it. That's right, this is my very first car in GTA Online. This very one has been with me ever since. It came with me from the Xbox over to PC, and then earlier this year, followed me again when I transferred everything over to the enhanced version of the game. As long as the servers for GTA Online remain up, I will always have this car in my collection. We wrap up today with what could arguably be called the 6th Schafter with the turreted limo. I mean, just look at it. It is pretty clear a limo version of a Schafter, only someone drilled a big hole in the top and plopped in a minigun. It isn't quite as tough as the V12 Armored we looked at earlier, but it does have bullet-resistant windows and it can still withstand a single explosive round. Despite its size, it is fairly nimble, which means it can be a formidable piece of equipment in the right hands. You can run up on your opponents, blast them in their cars to shreds with the minigun, then skedaddle away. Just be careful, as this thing can turn over rather easily, and if it does, anyone in that gunner's seat will be ejected from the car. Once you buy it, you cannot store it in a garage or upgrade and modify it. You can only obtain it by calling Pegasus or using SecuroServe CEO functions, and when it is delivered, it will always appear exactly the same. I love the chance to actually store this thing in a garage and maybe give it some nice performance modifications, but oh well, I'll just keep calling Pegasus. And that wraps it up for part 1 of Benefactor in my $1 billion garage tour. Next week, we will be right back here in my nightclub of my first character to take a look at even more Benefactors. Don't forget, if you enjoyed today's tour of Benefactor, be sure to hit the like button and leave a comment letting me know which car was your favorite, or which one you absolutely hate. And if you want to see all of the more than 570 vehicles that I own, get subscribed with notifications so you don't miss a single video. Until next time, I'm Brandon, reminding you to stay vainglorious.